Well. Welcome in. There's Big Hasalasa Ding Dong. I am Jason Dutch.
World's longest intro.
It's actually quite short when compared to other Twitch intros.
Really?
Yeah. Ravana's is like 7 minutes long.
Really?
Yeah. It allows people to get into the stream. So
I see. Okay.
So like, otherwise you start talking and
people aren't in.
Yeah, you're talking to nobody. Right? So
Yeah. I smell you.
So it's 2 minutes and 45 seconds of video clips. I think that, and Mikey is supposed to make some music for it, but has yet to get it to me. So what's in the bottle tonight?
Oh, Jesus Christ. This is Glenfiddich Fire and Cane.
Glenfiddich, that's quality stuff there.
I try to smoke good. I try to smoke good and drink good.
Well, there you go. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you're going to watch him do that later on the Hostas Humidor channel.
That's right.
Tonight it's just me and Haas for now. I would imagine Mikey will be here. He didn't say he wasn't going to be. I know he was doing something on the bin with Tim. They were looking at some of the election results, so he may still be doing that.
Now, is it official that there's going to be a runoff between?
Yeah, that's done deal.
Brother Warnock, and Mushmouth.
Yeah, so let's talk about that one first. Okay. Just give, I guess, what are your thoughts on? Let me pull something up to look at while we. Go ahead.
All right, so what we're speaking about is the Georgia Senate race between my frat brother Raphael Warnock, and the
Your other frat brother.
the negative black stereotype caricature Herschel Walker in Georgia. And the fact that there's a runoff in this election, that the fact that over 2 million people voted for Herschel Walker in this election, that shows that whenever a conservative comes to you and says, "Oh, you freaking liberals, you all vote straight Democratic no matter what," and check them. When they say, "Oh, you know something, you should just go for the best person for the job no matter what," check them, because Herschel Walker is visibly and demonstrably feeling the effects of CTE live and in your freaking living room.
I'm laughing, but that's not really funny.
But it's true. You can see it. The man said in a speech he gave, "I love my wife with all of my heart, but I'm scared I might kill her because of this condition that I have." That's the dude you voted for the Senate. The man has been caught in how many lies? His own campaign team was scared to let him speak because they caught him in so many lies. That's the guy you're picking for the Senate just because he has an R next to his name. So I don't want to hear shit from conservatives about, "You guys just vote straight Democratic. You non-conservatives, all you do is vote straight Democratic no matter what." That is classic projection, because that's what the fuck you're doing. This dude can't even put 2 sentences together. He thinks 4 + 4 is Jello. And y'all, 2 million almost of y'all voted for that dude for the Senate. Get the fuck out of here.
You're so racist, Haas. Why do you hate this black man? All he did was play football.
Right
and
is right.
Try to.
And
he's
wrong
trying.
is wrong.
Look, no. Hold on. Earl Tucker. Earl Tucker here. Earl Tucker, Confederate trucker. Herschel Walker now, despite his obvious shortcomings,
Beating on his women,
such
paying
as
for abortions.
No, those are. Well, the abortion is paying for abortions. We all do that under the table.
Hey,
but
abortion is murder unless the candidate is Republican.
The obvious shortcoming of Mr. Herschel is obviously is ethnicity. But beyond that, we see the content of the character. The character.
Yeah, the contents of his character.
We see the content of the character.
Lying his ass off.
He may have beaten his wife and paid for abortions and done a lot of terrible things in the past.
Wait a minute. This dude, the party of family values, is voting for a dude that lied about the kids he has. God,
and his own kid called him out.
His own kid was like, "Motherfucker, you my daddy too. What the fuck are you talking about?" All right, so Constance called me a Tom, which is actually a compliment if you go back to the history of Uncle Tom. He was the one that was not the sellout. It's Sambo, if you want to make it an insult. But I know she's being facetious, or he's being facetious.
Lamar, yeah.
But
Lamar is being facetious.
Yes. Here's the thing with me. Here's the thing with me. Right is right and wrong is wrong. If Herschel Walker was a good candidate, then I would be like, you know what? There's a choice to make there. But Herschel Walker is obviously not the best person to be deciding governance for the state or the nation.
Did you see who
2 million of y'all voted for him?
Did you see who introduced Herschel Walker at his speech?
No.
Yesterday? It was very disappointing.
Who was it?
The skin flute.
Who? Lindsey Graham?
No, Doug Skin Flutie.
I don't even know who the fuck. Doug Flutie? Oh,
Yeah.
fuck Doug Flutie.
I had no idea Doug Flutie was a MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, but like, my wife goes to me. She's like, I don't know who Doug Flutie is. I said, oh yes, you do.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, I don't. I don't pay attention to football. I was like, oh, that's not what you know him from. And she's like, well, what do I know him from? I'm like, from those Total T commercials with Frank Thomas. He's the little 3-foot white dude standing next to him talking about you look forward to. Like Skin Flutie. That's why I've always called him Doug the Skin Flutie. The Skin Man. One of my fantasy football championship heroes from yesteryear.
Yeah.
Rode him to a title.
Pause.
I rode the Skin Flute to the title.
But here's my thing. This is, just like when conservatives just engaged in hyperbolic cognitive dissonance when they vote.
Build a wall 2020. Thanks for following. Hope you're not a troll. If you are, bring your best because you're in the wrong place.
We could try.
But yeah, because you can bring your best if you'd like. But thanks for following.
Here's
regardless.
The thing, maybe
you're not.
These conservatives, they talk about family values, they talk about being pro-life, they talk about all this shit. But if you put a molded mop head up and put an R next to their name, next to the name, they would vote molded mop head for Senate, a molded mop head for county board.
We already have that, Mitch McConnell.
I'm just saying, the loyalty to party affiliation has superseded what's best for the country, what's best for your state, what's best for your county, what's best for you. Because there is no way you can tell me with a straight face you trust Herschel fucking Walker as he stands and talks right now to viably decide on governance for this country. You cannot tell me you think he is a credible senatorial candidate. You can't do it, but you voted for him. Because why? He's got an R next to his name. That's some bullshit. And you talk about America first. America, my fucking ass, you fucking liars. You are fucking liars because you just voted for a fuckbag who doesn't even know his asshole from his elbows. You did that. Talking about America first. Bull fucking shit. Bullshit. It's fucking horrible. Horrible that you talk about we want to make this country great, but you putting a dude in fucking office that's got the fucking intelligence of a preschool lettuce head. Oh.
Yeah, it's so the part about this that that makes me a little bit concerned. Oh, you know what? I forgot to check. I was checking to see if I invited Lauren in to see if he wanted to give some comment. He said he would, but then I forgot to tell him what time.
Classic.
Busy. I'm a busy man, But so the dangerous thing about Georgia is like now Georgia has two of the worst candidates on the Republican side, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Herschel Walker, right? Like they're probably first and second, to be super honest.
Yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene said, "I don't want solar power because I don't want my house to be dark when I don't want my house to be dark when the sun goes down." What the fuck? How do you vote for her? And she won.
Well, I don't know how solar works out there. I know that here, and California might be different, but so I'm saying this with an asterisk. In California, we have solar. The sun hits our solar panels. goes directly to PG&E. Then they sell it back to us.
Ain't that a bitch?
So like if there's a power outage, my power goes out. My solar panels don't keep my house lit.
But that's a power outage. It's not the sun goes down and now you have no power.
Right. And like, so the, that's apparently she doesn't understand how batteries work. So, you know, under those situations, you would take the power from the solar panels, store it into a battery, and then that battery, in almost every case, see, the way that they build solar, and I can't speak again for every case, but you, generally speaking, like if your solar panels were to go out, you would then, your system of redundancy would be standard electrical power.
Right.
Right. So like you would still go off of regular electric power when you weren't using solar, and when, and if your battery was dead. Right. So like your car, you mean like a hybrid?
Yeah.
Like a hybrid car. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like a hybrid car where you'd start using the electrical until you go to gas, or, you know, there's a lot of different kinds of electric cars, but, or hybrid cars, I should say, but they have two of the worst candidates. One of the, let's take a peek here, at, so, well, anyway, we were talking about this. Let's finish this conversation first. So this is going to a runoff, as of, about, when is this, from an hour ago? When is this updated? This was updated at 1:53 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That can't be right. Let's see if maybe they haven't had an update since. Yeah, I guess they closed. That would have been 4:53, so they stopped counting. It's 98% reported. So 98% reported in Georgia. Warnock at 49.4. Herschel Walker 48.5. Warnock has a lead of, just about 35,000 votes at this point.
But it doesn't even matter.
And it doesn't matter, right? Because so this Chase Oliver fella got 81,175 votes. It now comes down to who do these 81,175 people
pretty much
want to be governor or senator, right? And here's two scary things about this. Number one, and this is an indictment on the GOP and how stupid they are. If they had just run a normal candidate, Stacey Abrams lost by like 7 points. Because Kemp is what you would call a normal candidate, right? Like he's not a conspiracy theorist. He's not a monster. I disagree with him on every single thing politically.
But you can't say that he's fucking crazy.
No, but that doesn't mean he's a good guy.
No,
but he's not like he's like a Murkowski, who's also losing, by the way. You know, he's a Murkowski, Collins, Paul Ryan type guy. You know, your George W. Bush type guy. Like, you don't hate him, you can live with him. He's going to pass damaging policy, but hopefully you can fix it when he gets out of office, and he didn't destroy your state with culture wars. Now, I know I don't know where Kemp stands on stuff like LGBT and CRT and like, you know, the regular issues that the GOP likes to focus on.
Right.
But I would imagine he's not a fan of those things that don't exist. But when I say don't exist, I'm talking about the culture war issues shouldn't exist. They're created. But like if they had run like a Sarah Huckabee Sanders type candidate, and again, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is also a fucking lunatic.
Fucking
crazy. But the perception is not that she's a lunatic, right? Like
right.
Or let's not even use her because she's actually way too she's way too fucking idiotic. Because she doesn't have any policy points. Let's say like you ran let's say you ran like a Paul Ryan or like a Jack Kemp, even though he's long passed away, or like a Mike Pence type character, right? Like he would probably blow Warnock away by high single digits, if not lower, low double digit points. But you choose to run a fucking moron.
Obviously a moron.
And the lady that Warnock beat the first time was just as bad as Herschel Walker, just didn't get the news coverage. The woman who looks like a old disheveled 1985 blow up doll. I forget her name.
I forget her name.
Like she was a millionaire's, or her husband is like a super rich. She was just appointed to the Senate. She was, she voted against the elections. She was just a terrible, terrible senator, and still got 49% of the vote.
Right.
Because 49% of Georgians, we have proven now in 2 elections, will vote for whomever the party puts up, and it doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah. And that's, and then they have the nerve to get offended and clutch their pearls when we say that the GOP loves a low information voter, because the only information they need is the letter next to the name. That's the only information they need.
Speaking of low information voters and close races. I'm trying to track what we do on the other screen here. So, Haas, if you would, go ahead and read off these results for our esteemed listeners.
Okay.
In the Lauren Boebert race.
All right, Lauren Boebert versus Adam Frisch in Colorado, District 3. It's 50-50.
Yeah, look at the vote total difference there. Little quick math.
It's literally less than 60 votes almost. 60, 70
64.
Votes. Yeah.
It's 64 votes. 99% reporting.
Yeah.
So that means let's see here. That means you've got 156, 682 plus 156, 746 equals 313, 428.
And what's the population of District 3 anyway? Because I'm interested to know what the actual population.
The population?
Yeah. What's the voter turnout percentage?
It's probably around a half. It's probably a little over 500,000. I would imagine this is a highly engaged voter base, with who their congresswoman is. We'll find that out. So you've got so let's see, 313,500. So 320,000 times 99%.
Or times 0.1.
So it's probably closer to 309. So I'm going to guess you have 300 and you probably have about 3,000 outstanding votes.
Now, are they a runoff state as well?
No, not that I understand.
So now we get a chance for her to say that the election was rigged and they stole it.
So she's been narrowing. She was down by about 3,500 votes when it was 90, when it was 95%. But I was looking on Twitter, so we're just kind of doing some live research here, guys. Boebert was trending. Oh, she's still trending. Let's see what Twitter's saying. She's checking Twitter. Oh. I believe that someone had tweeted earlier. This is a great tweet right here. 64 votes separate Adam Frisch and Lauren Boebert, but voting doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Exactly, SARS. That's a very good point. I don't know what side of the political spectrum you're on, but I can guarantee you that that's an accurate tweet.
Right.
I believe that I had read that a lot of the remaining votes are coming from areas where Frisch had outperformed her.
We'll
which
see.
hopefully that is the case. The red drop is the new red wave. I call it the red tinkle. I think it's the red tinkle. In fact, we're going to reply that there.
I read somewhere that somebody said the red wave that they were talking about turned out to be some mid-cycle spotting. I was like, wow.
Oh, Jesus.
Wait, scroll back down. Scroll back up right there. What's that?
This is we'll go to Arizona next. That's the Arizona map. You actually think Boebert is smart? Someone said Boebert is smart. Are you mad that she is 1,000% more beautiful than you, smarter, a real woman? See, this is Republican grifting right here, right? Someone says it's time to get America back on track. Oh, that's her. I love that you lost. No, obviously she hasn't lost yet, so that's premature. Finder of Facts said here, are you mad that she's 1,000% more beautiful than you, smarter, a real woman? Loss or not, which it isn't over. She's still more of a woman than you could beg for. Just go back to being a mother if you can even do that. Stop playing around. Okay.
Wow. And I love that the conservatives, they love to use the clown emoji now, along with the laughing emoji, but they don't really have anything salient to say. You know?
Yeah, we got we had a troll come in here yesterday. And we had a troll come in here yesterday and like rip on us or rip on me, and then somebody else tried to rip on. Look here, check this out. This is what conservatives love to do. Like this is their. Oh, and by the way, let's talk about this real quick first. And this is something I posted before. Plus about 1,500 expected ballots that'll need to be cured, almost all mail-in and lean Democrat. So someone asked what's cured to our tweet. Let me answer that. And this person already did answer it. So I'll read that they are correct. When a ballot isn't turned in correctly, now it's kind of wrong. But what they said is when a ballot isn't turned in correctly, voters have a chance to fix it. So their vote will still count. Kinda. It's not really the ballot. It's the envelope. So the ballots are all the same. But if your envelope is ripped or got wet, or the signature doesn't match,
which everybody's signature changes over the years, so
right,
that's something.
But if that's the case, you have 8 days from the end of the election to cure or fix your ballot. And they give the so they open the ballots, they count the vote.
Yeah.
But the vote doesn't count, right? So they know they counted. They say this is a Republican vote, but it doesn't count. So you see what I mean there? It's counted, but it's not counted in the tally.
It's not in the official tally yet.
And then I believe the way that they do it in Colorado is they let the candidate know this is how many cured ballots you guys have. You want to get your people to fix them?
Yeah.
And then they'll reach out to them by text or phone or mail or whatever and say, this is what you need to do to fix your ballot.
Okay.
So seeing as those are mostly mail-in, and I don't know if in Colorado that also includes drop-off, because those are different voters. But of course, mail-in ballots favor Democrats. Republicans like to vote in person. That's fine. It's also not uniform. I don't mail in my ballot. I go and vote in person. Right.
Yeah, me too.
But and Melissa's a Republican. She's been mailing her ballot in for 15 years. So, it's these things are not up and down the column,
the spectrum,
but
right?
they lean. When you take a batch of them, they'll lean in a particular way, right?
Yeah.
So the Democratic ballots lean that way. So you have two pieces of hope here and one piece of hurt when it comes to Lauren Boebert, and that is that going back to the map, the map here that we were at before. You have again a lead of 64 votes. A lot of things here. One, this is going to get a fucking recount for sure.
100%.
Right? Yeah. So as it should.
Yeah.
I don't care who wins. You need to recount. Right? So, I don't care if it's one vote or anything under 1,000 votes. I would say you should probably recount.
Right.
But so, and then after that recount, if the lead grows, then the person behind can ask for another recount, but they have to pay for it. If the lead doesn't grow, then they recount a third and final time, or they count a third and final time, which would be a second recount, right?
Right.
And I think that last one is a hand recount, so it's like it's not done tabulated again. So you have you have number one, it's going to go to recount. Number two, Boebert for the last 12 hours has very slowly been chipping away at that lead. So that tells you that the ballots that were coming in late were leaning Boebert by about 60% of the time, because of the fact that she was picking up every time that, again, this was at 93.5%, and he was up by 3,500 votes. So that was about 47.4, something like that percent that she was at. So every 100 votes every 1% that came in, she was picking up about 0.1% of the margin that you see there on your screen, right? So she was closing it. And then now it's gotten to even. It's been at even for a while. It's even narrowed now since it did a few hours ago. A few hours ago, he was up by like 200 votes or something, or 180 votes. So I was expecting when we started this show that he would be behind. I am thrilled that he is not.
Because maybe it's starting to skew the other way now. Maybe it's starting
that's
to balance.
Possible.
Yeah.
That's possible. And there was probably even the last time that I had looked was at 96 or 97%. And that was, so it was, let's say 2-3% ago, and he was up by 180 votes. So if in these last 2 whole percentage points, she went from making up hundreds of votes per count to a couple dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with 1%, again, 1% of this number is about, I just did quick math on my calculator. It's about 319,000 total votes overall. So I would imagine it's going to be somewhere. Let me just check that one more time, because it is kind of important. So you're at 156,746 plus 156,682. So that's 313,428. So remember that number, 313,428. So 318,000 times 1%.
Yeah, that's 0.01.
318,000 times 1% equals. That's 3,180 votes. I should have known that. That's an easy number. So,
wow. So it looks like the population of the 3rd District of Colorado is about 750,000 people. So you got about a 50% voter turnout there. A little bit.
Yeah. So, and the number is probably a little bit lower than that. Because
that was as of 2020.
If I had my other phone, I could use my gross profit margin calculator and definitely figure this out. But I don't have my gross profit margin calculator.
The census
anyway,
censusreporter.org has it at 769,000.
Yeah, but that's total population. That's including kids and yeah. So I'm gonna guess there's about somewhere in the ballpark of 2,500 and 3,100 votes outstanding. So that's more than enough to flip it either way when you're talking about 64 votes.
Right.
So, but where are those votes coming from? Are they coming from a Boebert district? Are they coming from a Frisch district? I did read online from someone on Twitter that they were coming from a stronger Frisch district, but that was someone on Twitter, wasn't CNN or even Fox. So, if Fox tells me, that's one of the few things that I'll believe Fox when they say it, is like, if they were to tell me, hey, the remaining votes are coming from this county, that's something that they'd very easily get slapped in the face on for being wrong.
Yeah.
So I would probably believe that information. So we'll have to see where they come from. So you have that whole dynamic of, so you have the cured votes, you have the incoming votes, and then you have the recounts, right? So you have those three things that could happen there. So this is not going to be over one way or the other for a long time, unless that 3,000 remaining votes somehow are like skewed,
really big in one way or the other.
Right. Which I don't see that happening.
Here's something else that we have to think of here. With the thought of the red wave and these very popular extreme fringe type candidates being in such tight races, like, even though MTG won, it was not really like a landslide victory. It was something.
Yeah, it
was it?
Yeah,
I must be thinking of someone else.
And she went up against a fantastic candidate, Marcus Flowers. I talked to him a couple times. We were very close to getting him on the show. But we just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
And I very much wanted him to get on the show. Hold on one second. But I didn't plug in my other laptop, so the battery just died out on me. But like, Marcus Flowers was a really good candidate. He was the keynote speaker at I think it was the DNC. I forget when that was, but but either way, he is pretty good.
And let me quickly.
I want to say, yeah, go ahead and check it. I think it was like 60-40.
Okay, I was wrong then. My fault. I want to give a shout out to my frat brother, Wes Moore, first black governor elect of Maryland.
Another alpha.
We do great things, baby. We do great things.
So why haven't you gotten him on the show?
Man, that mug was campaigning, dude. He's out there in Maryland. If I was on the East Coast, I probably could have got him on the show.
You can log in and stream whenever you want. Nobody's stopping you. I don't know, you guys.
Okay.
But okay, next one. I already talked about Boebert.
Go ahead.
I'm just looking for all right, Arizona.
It was it's a lot of politicians who denied the election lost, it seemed.
Yes, talk about that.
It's just, to me, is a kind of a referendum on the election denial campaign, and those people who voted to decertify the election or actively questioned the legitimacy of the election. It seems that even Republican voters were turned off by that. and they may have voted. They may have actually even voted third party or stayed home. I don't think they actually went out and voted for the Democratic candidate, but in those elections, I think that they were like, that's too extreme for me. There's a little bit of a message being sent by the voting base, at least, that we won't tolerate that type of fringe extremism. So people who supported January 6th, people who or tried to mollify or obfuscate or explain away what was happening on January 6th, and those people who
hold on, ding, ding. That was 67 word points.
I told you my mom made me freaking write the dictionary, dude. But those people, it seems as though the Republican voting base was like, nah, son, we're not going to do that. So a lot of those candidates and incumbents are out of there, which was interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean the safe ones like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan and Paul Gosar. Paul Gosar ran unopposed. Like, he's the worst. He might be the worst of all.
He's a big time racist too. He's out there like Steve Scalise.
The dentist of doom, Paul Gosar. Like, would you really want that guy working on your jibs?
Right.
He's got his people cucked.
Yeah. I mean, this dude has lengthy ties. He has
let's call them what they are. They're all cucks.
I mean, seriously, this man, he has ties to white nationalism, pro-Nazi.
He's campaigned with
rhetoric. Yeah. This dude is horrible. A horrible human being. And people will vote for him and say, I'm not racist, though. No. And people have voted for this guy. He won again, right?
I have a black friend.
Was he up? Yeah, I've had a black.
Look. I have a black friend. Not Bernie. He's not the black friend. This guy here, he's the. How do I get close to the camera? There we go. This guy here, he's my black friend. You can't call me racist. Darn you. Yeah. You son of a gun.
It's just, it's so interesting to me that how comfortable these self-proclaimed not racists are with candidates that have obvious ties to racism. They're very racist comfortable. I'm not a racist, but I am very comfortable in that would be like me saying I'm not a vice lord, but I am very comfortable hanging out and walking around in the street with them all the freaking time. You know what I mean? And then I
actually did used to hang out with vice lords.
I'm just saying, my mom was like, you can't be in it and not of it. And if the cops come and roll up on a bunch of vice lords, you think they go because you say I'm not in.
Come on in, Lauren.
You think that they're gonna say, no, so you can go home? No, you're gonna get rounded up right there with them. So
what's up, fellas?
Lauren, very nice to see you, sir.
I thought I'd come in and
yes, we're talking about we're talking about Paul Gosar and how race comfortable his voter base seems to be, even though many of them would tell you that they're not racist.
I mean, it's just more of the same that we've already seen. I speaking of racist, I will say, just point blank, the fact that two races to me seemed like it came down to the candidate who identified more as a race or as a race and gender did not perform as well as another candidate who was talking about issues. Georgia, Raphael Warnock outperforming Stacey Abrams, who, for as much as I love Stacey, every time she had a microphone in front of her face, she was talking about being a black woman.
Yeah.
And it
people got tired of that.
Yeah, we really did. And then in Wisconsin with Tim Evers.
Well, part of that though, real quick, we talked about that a little bit before. I think part of it was like, and I want to know if you agree with the statement that we made on this show 20 minutes ago. If the Republicans had run, and this is not a knock on Warnock, we loved Warnock on the show. The only problem I have with Warnock is he used to be an alpha.
He is an alpha.
So, yeah, so,
he never used to be. You never used to be in black.
Okay.
Let's
Highlander.
Get that straight.
All right. Once a Sith, always a Sith.
That's right. God damn it. That's right.
But we had said like if they had run like if they had not run Herschel Walker and run like say Paul Ryan, Warnock probably loses by double digits.
Well,
you'd imagine it would tie in.
I don't know.
With the governor's race. Now it does seem to me that people are more willing to vote for a different party for governor, because there's a lot of states today where you saw, like Wisconsin, Ron Johnson won, but so did Evers, right?
Yeah, Mandela Barnes underperforming Evers, who's like an older, like white progressive, and even like Mandela Barnes, like underperforming his own like standard in that lieutenant governor's race, previously. I think he just kind of leaned in. Mandela Barnes was one that I just think he just made some like youthful mistakes, like talking about if you voted for Trump, I don't want your vote.
Don't do that. Because some people that voted for Trump regret that vote and they want to make it up in a way.
Exactly.
Right. But anyway, as you were saying, you were making a point, and then I stepped on you. So go ahead.
Well, I was just like, to the point of like if Raphael Warnock was running against Paul Ryan
type,
I don't know that it would be because Herschel Walker, despite being a black man, only got 8% of the black vote in Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So what really gets me, and we even saw it 4 years ago, or 4 years ago, and in 2020, was the white female vote that broke down.
Yeah,
because
once again, it's proximity to power, dude. It's proximity to power.
Even despite all the like comments of like, hey, these alt-right guys don't like us as women.
Right.
And all the like statements and everything else that was made about it.
Hey, we're definitely going to take your right to choose. We're definitely going to try to make that the law, the codified law of every state, et cetera, et cetera. Still voted for him.
So that's what really the thing I was surprised at, because when I look at like demographically between age and then the breakdown on race, it was the white female vote in Georgia, in the governor's race and in the Senate race.
It's just interesting. It's so interesting to me how on the right they talk about liberty, talk about freedom, they talk about limited government, et cetera, but the voter base goes out and the candidates go out and run on limiting freedom to choose, expanding government to decide what you can do with your body and things like that. That are diametrically opposed to these lofty ideals of liberty and freedom that they're talking about. They got these lofty, but the actual policies that they run on, or the measures that they run on, are designed to take those things away, and these people still go out and vote against their interests, against what they say they love.
A prime example. Prime example of that, House. You had Daniel Cameron, who's the Attorney General in Kentucky, come out and say, even though people in Kentucky voted to preserve the right to choose,
in the referendum vote,
he's going to still pursue with the Supreme Court to take that right away. So despite the people voting on
the will of the people is not being represented at all.
They don't care. They don't care. They don't give a shit.
But they talk about the left in this. You vote for these Democratic candidates, and what do they do for you? You voted and have said,
right,
by a large margin, by the way, we don't want this.
I can tell you, I was at 4 election night.
Your attorney general is like, nah, forget that. Yeah. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you want.
We tell you. I was at 4 election night events last night, and I can't. I like the thing that kept picking at me in my brain was, did we have the right approach when it came to a lot of the issues that came down to people being top of mind to people? I think about, like, should we have approached the topic of gender affirming care in a state like Texas, where Beto, all intents and purposes, I think Texas fucked up, but that's just me. But had we talked about it in terms of, like, having people talking about men who get testosterone boosters, that's gender affirming care.
Yep.
Have we framed it in that manner and just said, this is a choice between you and your doctor, and the government shouldn't be in that decision,
right? And
made it more of a freedom referendum and push back on the narrative that they sell.
Yeah.
Could we have?
Let's talk about the totality of gender affirming care, because Viagra is gender affirming care. BioT pellets or whatever you get, inserted so that you can maintain your virility and things like that. That is you're trying to remain and feeling like a man.
Exactly.
And I bet you if we go and people say, you know what? No, y'all can't have Viagra no more. Y'all can't have testosterone.
Or we need to publish everybody who's getting it on your street.
Yeah.
In your neighborhood.
We got to make it public knowledge. Oh yeah, he's got those hymns coming to his house later.
Same thing with with Roe. Like, if we like the messaging out large was like, women's issues, but I care about the right to privacy myself. If I'm getting the little blue pill sent to my house, I don't want you to know that.
I bet you.
Right?
I bet you if there was a measure put out there to make it so everybody who got private abortions, those statistics were out there,
that we should know about it.
That did not necessarily go to Planned Parenthood. And hey, guess what? Lisa Oswald down the street, she got an abortion last year.
Yeah.
Now the baby had 3 holes in his heart and would have been born with no legs and arms, but she got that abortion.
We could have reached a whole lot more people if we talked about, like, in states like Kentucky, where not only is it an issue of folks who are pregnant and seeking services, but the attacking people that are getting IVF, and if you discard non-viable,
what is
eggs,
that's
still subject to the law. That they're going to prosecute doctors and people who discard non-viable embryos.
But how hard will they go after those people, though? Do you think they're going to go?
I think we should. That's upon us to paint the picture, to say, like, that's still subject to the law. Yeah. And you even have Republican members of the Kentucky House and their legislature talking about, like, we it's a special issue, but they are still subject to this law, and we think every life is important,
right? Because those eggs could be sent out to Goodwill or something to get fertilized.
They could be people. They would still be subject to the law. So that's
frozen eggs are frozen souls.
That brings in a whole wide range of folks who are like, I personally wouldn't have an abortion, right? Like I personally
Well,
wouldn't.
well,
People like my wife who are like,
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't. But now if we're trying to get, have a child,
right.
this is a different thing. I'm not choosing. These are the doctors already told me there's something genetically wrong with these embryos that if they implant, they're not going to be viable.
Right.
And I'm still subject to the laws and the jurisdiction.
But you never know, Lauren. The Lord could make a miracle.
I guess
the Lord might get in that fallopian tube and perform a miracle on those genes. How glory.
He has yet to.
But that's how
here,
people think. That's how people think,
I feel like I just stumbled into this and y'all are crazy. Okay.
Welcome, Anna. Welcome.
Hey y'all, sorry I'm late. I'm not playing with Haas. Every time I come on here.
Haas, come and tell the story.
Gotta plant the egg of faith.
The size of a mustard seed, brother.
Yes, Lord.
Or maybe closer to the size of an egg-rich breakfast sausage.
Oh my gosh.
You
confirm or deny because my view is aerial.
You came in at the wrong moment. But
it sounded like it was serious when I came in.
It was, and then they changed it. Anna with the hat on today. Anna said, "You know what? y'all getting played down."
Let me tell y'all why, because normally I would dress up for y'all because I take a lot of pride. I love fashion and stuff like that. Today has been a day. Okay, I have been working. Now I did put on my eyebrows for y'all, so let me just say that. So I did do something. But I've been bumming it out. For me, it's either 0 or 100. It's either I'm doing something or I'm doing nothing. And today is on
affirming surgery. Is that a gender affirming thing? Putting on the eyebrows.
Putting your eyebrows on.
The thing is I have eyebrows. So I have eyebrows, right? And they look substantially like these brows that I filled in. But it's just that y'all never seen me without them. And not that I'm afraid of it, because I go out without makeup all the time, but it's just y'all never seen this. I didn't want to scare y'all. So I'm like, let me just draw them in, fill them out.
I come on the show every week without eyebrows. So
hey Constance, hey JD. No, and that's okay. Like, I don't think anyone's like, did you see Dutch's eyebrows? Woof. Like, no one's doing that.
There's nothing wrong with putting a little Beijing on your eyebrows, girl.
First of all, it's not Beijing. First of all, because I know what that is. You trying to be funny. It is not Beijing. Beijing, for anybody in the watching who does not know what it is, Costa's trying to play me and be funny. It is when men are missing pieces of their hairline, so they just get that little spray situation and they think nobody can see it, that little shadow stuff.
The Carlos Boozer. That's
yes. And then when they start sweating, it just drip into your eyebrow, like drip into your face. And then who else has it? Does Stephen A do Beijing? I don't think so. I think his hairline just go back.
I think that there are quite a few individuals that get a little bit of light. Like Jalen Rose, I think gets a little light Beijing. It's not a lot.
It is. Steve Harvey gets the full thing. No one's told me that, but I'm assuming that's no one has a hairline like Steve Harvey, who was also fully bald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
like a lot of brothers get it in the beard.
Yeah. Like Israel Adonijah used to do. Yeah. When he first started appearing on, I think it was NBC Chicago or Fox Chicago. He had on a white collared shirt, and they kind of overdid the Beijing on his beard. So, like, as he was talking, the rim of the where the collar folds down started turning black.
No.
This segment.
I was like this. I was like, my man.
And you know what? And it's disrespectful because in film, y'all could have cut the camera and got him together. Y'all just gonna let it play.
Left them out there.
Anyway, Haas tried to just say that I had that on my eyebrows, and this is not that. I will just have y'all know, this is actually pencil.
Dry erase marker.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pencil. Now it will wipe off, and when men try to be funny, men get real close to your eyebrows with a finger, and it's just like Don't
See,
get. I would hate for you to lose a finger today.
Yeah, I don't play around like that.
Anna, I try to be funny and I will joke, but I come from a house full of women.
Oh, I know you. I know you're not serious, huh? So you can't be.
Don't go touching in a woman's face or hair, a black woman's face or hair. Or
no woman.
You will get gathered up.
No,
you will get gathered up.
Don't do it to any. Don't do it to any woman, especially a black woman's hair.
Yeah.
Or go in their purse.
You cannot go in the purse.
Go in my purse. That's gonna be your last breath.
Hey, you know something was funny is
my wife. Gonna be your last time.
My wife.
Don't wear my red bottom shoes.
My wife is half Italian, half Irish, so she's Caucasian, right?
A descendant of slaves.
Here's what happened.
The oppressed.
Yeah. So when we first started dating, she was like, "Go on my purse and get XYZ."
Absolutely not.
I brought her the whole purse. And she's like, no,
right? Yes.
Very
like,
smart.
No, I am not going in your purse because
I do that too, but not because I just don't feel like looking around in that thing.
I just
right?
It took a long time before I would go in there and grab something. But
right?
if I can't see it, if I can't visually see it like a police officer, if it's not in plain sight, I still bring the whole damn thing.
Sorry, honey, I don't have probable cause to go up in.
I was just getting ready to be like, not this. But no, I think that's good practice. I don't know who made that rule, but it's just like
it's an unspoken rule.
For me, I can't.
Generation.
The rule has been handed down. I will say for me, when men go in a purse, what happens is there's an organization to the purse that y'all don't know about because y'all don't carry purses. And you've disrupted the organization because if I can't find the lip liner and I'm out, I'm gonna be mad. Number one, and number two, I'm gonna blame you. You're gonna hear about it, and then you'll never get to touch my purse again. Just please bring me the whole thing. Don't even worry about it.
Lip liner back in the wrong pocket.
That's a real thing.
That's a real.
My lip liner only and lip gloss only goes in certain pockets. Please don't be looking. Don't even learn the pocket. Just bring the purse. Don't even worry about it.
That's unwritten rules. Unwritten rules. Yeah, it's just like I was like who was I talking to about like unwritten it was measurements, black measurements of things, and it was like a mug. It was like,
oh yeah.
Oh, so you can be like, it's colder than a mug, or it's hotter than
I'm
a mug.
weak.
And it was just like, a mug was what you said if you wanted to be polite and you didn't want to say
mug
than a motherfucker.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's hot. It's cold as a mug out there. Or I'll even say right now, I'll say it's cussing cold. When you go outside.
That's a good one.
It's cussing cold. For me, I play football, so it's like for me, it's got to get to a certain level. When I walk outside and I'm like, oh shit, then it's cold.
Everyone has that moment where you just walk outside and be like, I know y'all not serious with this.
What the fuck is going on out here? What is going on out here?
That happened to me this morning. So I went to the gym, right? And I walked outside. Yesterday was a high of 77. When I went outside, it was 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. I had on like a coat, and it was like thinking it was going to be like 30 degrees because it was 30 degrees earlier this week. And it was 60 degrees. And I was like, okay. And then when I went to work, you didn't even need a jacket. So I was like, okay. So I went out this morning with my like kind of lighter coat. Boy, I went outside and I know how cold it is when I get mad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like I get mad being out there.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't have no business being this cold when it was just 77 yesterday because the high was like 47. Global warming, Mother Nature, Jesus, start the rapture. We just need to go and wrap this up.
You know what they call that? That's called I left my coat at school day because I left for the morning and it was cold as shit, and then at the end of the day it was hot, and that's the day you leave your coat at school.
Right.
And then mom says, "Hey, where's your coat?" I left that shit on the hook. And then the next morning you got to go to school freezing because your coat ain't there no more.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
that's a fact.
You go outside with that light ass jacket on, and the hawk be like, "Get your ass back in the house and get that big ass coat."
Happened.
And you got
happened to my oldest this morning.
That happened to you, Lauren?
Happened to my oldest this morning.
Oh no! What happened?
Like a winter coat, and we're in the like tail end of a storm, and so it's raining. Like it's cold, it's raining. I gave her. She has this like light coat that doesn't even have a hood, and I asked her because I took her to school this morning. Her jacket with the hood and the like the bead off the rain and all that is in her mom's car, and I said, make sure you get your jacket from your mom's car before she leaves. Okay. She gets in here playing Roblox or whatever the hell.
Yep.
Never got the jacket.
They got to play before they go to school. I don't know why.
Was she playing Roblox with Alan Ellison again?
She could have been.
This is one of the things I love about this show. We are the tangent cast.
Yes.
I made one comment about Anna wearing a hat.
Now we talk about kids and Roblox.
Yeah, and 20 minutes later, we're so far away from election talk, we don't even remember what we was talking about.
That's true.
Okay.
As the great re-railer, there's two real quick races that we want to talk about. Yeah, the re-railer. Now, see, that's another tangent you're going to put us on now. I remember there was a train set I had.
I was just going to say, I think the guardrail would have been a better one, but I like the re-railer too.
I made it up.
Go ahead. I like it, sir.
All right. Sorry, I'm chewing a Tums. A little heartburn. All right, let me share my screen here real quick one more time.
To be very stereotypical, I ate a bad piece of watermelon yesterday. My stomach was tore up all day today. So
what is a bad piece of watermelon?
It tastes sour. It tastes sour.
I don't know what that is.
It tastes like sour.
Oh, do we know Arizona yet?
It was actually a cantaloupe. 50-50. That's why.
Oh,
no,
really?
I don't.
All right,
fuck
so
around. I don't fuck around cantaloupe.
There's two. After we won in Pennsylvania, the great Dr. Oz didn't get enough votes from people with yards, the elites with yards. So that talking track will never be talked about on Dig on America again, unfortunately. But Arizona and we'll talk about Nevada in just a quick sec here. I wore my Las Vegas shirt here in support of Cortez Masto. But in Arizona, you've got a couple of pretty close races here. So we'll just kind of touch on these real quick. This is updated as of 6:50 p.m. Pacific time. So about 2 hours ago. It's probably when they stopped counting. They do have some more votes to count here. They're only at, I think they're at 70% reporting. Mark Kelly has about 100,000 vote lead, just under. And in the governor's race, it is much closer, where lunatic Carrie Lake is only
Carrie
Lake. No, I think it's Carrie Lake. It's Carrie.
Carrie Lake, yeah.
She's only 13,000 votes behind. So they're expecting votes from red that they think might lean red. So it looks like Kelly's going to carry the Senate there by an unknown margin. It could be what it is now. It could be less. It could be more. But there's a very good possibility that crazy Carrie Lake could win that race. I'm going to real quick segue over to Nevada, and I'll bring just both of these up at once, and then I'll let Lauren kind of give us his thoughts on these two, and then we can jump in on that. Where is my Arizona page? Here we go. Let's paste in Nevada. This was just updated now, like literally this second. So this is, folks, the latest information you can get anywhere. 79% reporting. Adam Laxalt is maintaining his lead. It's still about 20,000. It's been about 17 to 22,000 back and forth. It's not looking particularly good.
Can we drop down to number 3 there? What it says there. Go down.
None of these candidates
gets 10,000 votes. Now Barry Linderman and Neil Scott have to really feel bad when they are trailing. They are trailing.
You know
none of these candidates by 3,000.
You know who's going
to? More.
Oh yeah, that's a amalgamation of, I'd say, like people wrote in Donald Duck. But you know who's going to get blamed for this? I'll tell you what. I'm just going to get in front of it right now. They're going to blame progressives they're going to say, oh, progressives, they got mad and they voted for a third party because
that happens though. That happens more than conservatives do.
But Cortez Masto,
conservatives more than liberals will get pissed off, say these candidates suck, I'm going to vote for a third party, or I'm going to stay home. Or I'm going to protest vote. Conservatives will be like, I don't give a shit. Right. You can put some dog slime vomit up there, slap an R next to the fucking name, and I'm gonna vote for it.
That's exactly correct.
I'm weak.
But this is again and then in the governor's race, you have the Republican leading by a little bit more, believe it or not. This is the opposite trend. Lombardo leading by a little bit more than the Senate race. It's been the opposite in most of the other states, where the Senate has been closer to going to Republican, and the governorship, in a lot of these cases, already called. Let me just say this real quick, and on the last thing, and I'll pass over to Lauren. Michigan is starting to do shit like Florida does, man. Like Gretchen Whitmer ran a fucking fantastic fucking campaign in that state. They swept the fucking GOP the fuck out.
First time in 4 decades. Yeah.
Yeah, the GOP got fucking smashed in Michigan. We need to take
shout out to Michigan.
Home of Attorney Anna. And whatever they're doing out there, Lauren, you better talk to your buddies and tell them they better replicate that shit.
Well, it's just just the same. I think what we're seeing in Nevada is, very similar to the trend we've seen nationwide. And, in particular in that region of Michigan, like Wisconsin is, like one of the things I was worried about, a personal friend of mine, Keith Ellison, was able to win his reelection as Attorney General, which was very much in doubt in that state. But I think what we're seeing, especially in Nevada, I want to pinpoint Nevada a little bit, because it's the same thing that I think we're seeing here in our region, Dutch, with California 13th congressional district and the 20th congressional district, or 21st congressional district. No, 22nd congressional district. That's what it is.
Oh, is that
the Valadeo Salas race?
Yeah.
Is you're seeing the Democratic outreach to Latino voters really wasn't robust. It really wasn't the thing that they wanted to hear from Democratic messaging. Is my belief, and it's the same thing in Nevada. You've had a lot of union support, a lot of union help from folks in unions that are out there knocking doors. I have family in Nevada who are part of the one of the big unions out there, and the response that I got this morning was, we did our best, but there was folks who just wanted a change, and it didn't matter what folks were telling them as they were knocking on doors about inflation and what Democrats were doing to help it. It was just a unfortunate situation of, this is happening in my life, and this party happens to be in control. And it's the same thing in the messaging in California's 13th congressional district, where we're seeing John Duarte, who is terrible. He literally got sued he's a farmer, and literally got sued by farm workers for the conditions that he was having them work in. But the folks there that make up, the farm workers that make up a good chunk of that district, just saying, hey, we want something different. We want something else. And when I look at even just nationwide, I look at it as just a failure of our education system to look at folks, to have people be able to look at a situation critically and think, inflation, that's worldwide. These gas prices, it doesn't matter if America increases our production of oil, even though it's been our chief export. The number one thing that leaves the United States has been oil.
Mhm.
But we sell it at the world market price. That doesn't actually help prices at the pump. It's just kind of a lack of education or failure of education on our part to tell folks to highlight the fact that Republicans might talk about these issues and want to highlight these issues, but the second half, it's like, yeah, inflation is bad. You've had terrible experience with inflation, comma, here's my solution. We never did a good job of highlighting. Republicans talk about inflation a lot, but they don't have a solution to it.
Yeah, no, you get a lot of that, and another thing you'll get is conservatives blaming Biden for things like the high gas prices and stuff like that. And I'm saying, and I'll say, or we'll be talking about issues, and I'll say, well, the GOP voted that down. Oh no, the GOP voted that down. And then they'll say, well, there was a lot of fat in that bill. There was a lot of stuff attached to the bill that that's why they voted it down. And I'll say, well, what exactly was in it that was considered fat that they felt they couldn't vote for it? And then I never ever get a response where they're like, oh, this was in there, or this was in there, and this was in there. I never get that.
Because they never knew what was in it. It's a talking point.
Yeah.
It's like you have no idea what's in it.
Yeah.
You just heard people say that it was fat, and then you started saying that, but you have no idea. Most people don't actually read the bills. Like they don't know what the legislation says.
And what's funny is I have frat brothers that are Republicans in the political sphere. And I'll say to them, what fat? And they'll say, read the bill. I'm like, you're an elected official. Part of your job is to read the bill and tell your constituency what part of it was so egregious that you could not vote for it. I'm like, frat, brother.
Keep it real. Keep it 100. Yeah.
You can't tell me to do my own research when your job is to do the fucking research and tell your constituency. So I'm asking you, what was in the bill that you voted it down? And I'm never going to say names. I'm not going to put my brothers out there like that. But
they were going to put legislation in to help gay people,
or something like that.
God forbid.
Right.
God forbid. And that's the thing. Like they'll say a lot.
Sometimes, Dutch, it's as simple as this. The people in around them say you got to vote against this.
Right. And that says something about the GOP voter. If you won't vote for good policy because there's something else in the package that might give rights to gay people or to black people
or provide a safety net,
or provide a safety net. No. We're not providing any safety nets or equality.
Right.
We want to be able to discriminate against gay people, and I would rather pay $11 a gallon. So again, they've been cucked by their own fucking people. Like,
how are you going to vote against the violence against women bill? How are you going to vote against the pay bill?
I'm okay with violence against women because sometimes the women deserve the violence. And once in a while, you have to take the back of the hand to the woman. And I would rather see those people get off with it, because usually they're so usually they don't mean it.
No, they don't mean it.
Right. You'll get some shit like that. And then they'll say, oh, but it's still, that's for a different bill. No, it's omnibuses are a thing, right? Like bills have been written like this. Should they be? maybe not. But you know what? Sometimes that's the only way you can get civil rights bills past the goalpost. Like the civil rights bill in and of itself was mostly civil rights. The two bills in 64 and 65. I believe the 65 bill actually had some other stuff in there, but but the point is, like that type of legislation recently is very rare. It's usually like we'll do infrastructure and healthcare, or we'll do COVID relief and we'll do road improvements or something like that. Like it's because they'll kill two birds with one stone. And that way they can say it's bipartisan, because obviously the way that our laws are written, you have to be a bipartisan bill has less opposition, and then people can get credit for helping to co-sponsor a bill, even though they said, well, yeah, I just want more stoplights in rural Arizona, so it's, but the fact that you would vote against something that would help 100% of Americans, because it might, God forbid, help 2% of Americans in a different place is ridiculous.
I think that touches on two things. Like the first thing is like people absolutely love free things. It just even conservative folks, they like free stuff for them. But if it's free for
Cracker
someone
Jacks
else,
that's why Cracker Jacks sold.
I don't like it. So I think that touches on that issue is if it's going to benefit somebody else. I think we've seen. I think on my show I talked about like Cracker Barrel is now having an expansion of their menu to include vegan options.
Cracker Barrel.
Oh, they're so woke.
Not
you
all
would
the vegans
think,
going to
exactly.
Cracker Barrel.
You would think that it's like, oh my God, we're gonna boycott Cracker Barrel because they have vegan options, and it speaks to that segment of or I won't even say conservatism, of MAGA voters and MAGA folks who are like, I think that someone else having the same opportunity and the same rights as me is oppressive to me.
Where have I heard that before?
It's
equality is oppressive. Wow, look at us all having the same thing.
As my wife would say, when you have been so used to being up the top dog for so long that everyone else being brought up to your level seems oppressive.
Yep. When you've been centered and considered and catered to as a people, as a group, any movement towards equality in that representation is seen as oppression, is seen as an attack.
Right. And it's totally like the individual's interpretation of that. And it's just like in a state like Ohio, where I got to tell you, I was a little bit sad watching, seeing that Tim Ryan did not win.
He was the only one in that state I had hope for. I thought,
he was.
I had a little hope. JD Vance is a lunatic.
I had Chris Jones. Chris Jones been on the program before. Been on my program before. We had a situation, an opportunity where we have literally, even if you're just like, I want to vote for I want the best person to represent my state, who's going to take our state into the future. You had a person who was literally a nuclear physicist, has a doctorate in urban planning, and an ordained minister, and actually has managed multi-million-dollar organizations just like as an executive, which is what a governor is. It's the executive of a state, and instead folks elected a person with literally no experience but being the spokesperson for the worst president we've ever had.
Well, that's not fair. Her dad also was a politician.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a little
nepotism there.
I was going to say like the nepotism in this country is just like people vote for name, like a lot of people with names like Fitzgerald or Ryan. There's a lot of politicians with those names, Kennedy. So like, oh, they seem to get voted for because people are like, oh, that maybe he's related to JFK or Paul Ryan or whomever the case
may
be.
You have ever seen The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy?
Yes.
Hilarious.
Not for years.
Vote Johnson. Yeah. The name you trust. He just kept going out and repeating Johnson.
But I'm going to close. I'll close off this topic with this, and then we'll go to the dig. And I think you guys will like the dig tonight. Two things. Number one, the Red Tinkle. They're going to put out a search party for the red wave because we need to help find it. It's lost somewhere. So we should feel good. Like this show, we probably didn't affect a lot, but we put in a lot of fucking hard work. And Lauren, like, I know you and Brent were like hitting the pavement hard, both in your areas, in your districts, as well as over these airwaves. And I just want to say, like, I am super proud of the impact that we had on this election. I feel like us and other people who did what we do were positively able to impact this, because this was a historic loss in that it wasn't that bad of a loss, right? Like we did fucking awesome when you measure it against history. And I think that we need to take a break, relax for a minute, because I got bad news for you guys. In about, 9 months, we're going to start hitting the candidate trail again. Right. So
I thought you was going to mention a baby. I'm like, what's going on in 9 months?
No, in just about the time it takes to have a baby, we're going to take that much time off. We're still going to talk about politics, but but the candidate promotions are going to start right around, what month would that start in? Probably like June of next year. Right. So June of next year, we're going to start getting back on this again. God damn. Because next thing you know, it's going to be 2024, and Trump is going to be announcing his candidacy in the next few days, whether or not he's going to do it, Biden too. But Lauren, thank you for what you did. Like you and Brent were great. I look forward to what the future is. I know that both of you ran your asses off in your own campaigns. Brent actually might have helped. I know that him and the candidate who I forget what's her name?
Gastelum.
It's
Lopez.
Perez. Yeah, Marie Gludenkamp Perez.
That's right.
Yeah, she, her and Brent had a little bit of, they're not like the eye to eye and everything, but like Brent gets a lot of credit for me. Brent dropped out of that race. She made it to the ticket, and she's probably going to win. And like Brent Heinrich is literally responsible for that, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know that there's some, some tension there on a couple of things, but like that's a seat that we had to have, and we got it. Right. And a guy who hosts on this show has partial credit for that. So for what he did and his pulling out of that race at the right time, because he believed in America, and like, I don't agree with Brent on some of his policy, but what he did in that particular moment was fantastic, and he's not going to get credit for it, but I'm going to fucking give him credit. Because the situation
that you don't like,
you want to tell people what was what do you feel comfortable, let's say, like about that situation?
Well, it's like we were talking with Barbara Gaskins on Sunday, a candidate running in North Carolina, and it was the thing about like I alluded to earlier about the Stacey Abrams thing, about the same thing that like was Hillary 2016 about time for a woman, and that just being the central message of your campaign. And it wasn't like, well, I'm a woman, but also like I'm a woman and it gives me insight into raising a family and making ends meet and having a budget that we try to stick to with our household. It was just like, hey, I'm a woman. That's pretty much Marie's campaign.
And like, look, I think that I think it's better. It's obviously better that we have her for America in Congress than it is that we have Joe Kent. But
Definitely.
the Washington 3, because Joe Kent was a fucking lunatic. But Washington 3 had this particular. Sure. I'm going to tell you why Brent gets credit for this. Okay. Because Brent, as I dribble, this is the red wave I just dribbled. The red dribble, the red drool. You had 4 candidates prior to the primary. Washington is a top 2 state. You had Jamie Herrera Butler, who was the incumbent.
Six-term incumbent.
6-term incumbent Republican. She was one of what the so-called moderate Republicans who voted, with Democrats once every 2 years and was therefore a moderate. And then you had Joe Kent. She voted to impeach, right? Then you had Joe Kent, who was the MAGA guy. And then you had Brent and you had Marie. And they were both, different levels of progressive. Only the top 2 go. Brent looked at the polling and said, you know what? If I stay in this race, neither of us are going to finish top 2. So Brent pulled out from the race. And Gluesenkamp-Perez then won that race, the primary. She finished first, Kent finished second, the MAGA candidate, and the incumbent finished third. It was like 40 to 30 to 30, somewhere in that ballpark, right? But had Brent stayed in, it would have been like 30 to 30 to 20 to 20. And then you would have had a MAGA square off. So Brent pulled out of that race.
Okay.
And then Gluesenkamp-Perez ended up winning the race, or as at least it looks like she's going to win at this hour. That race right now is she's winning by 10,000 votes with 70% in. So it could flip, but she's up 52 to 47 percentage wise. That would not be the case right now if Brent had not pulled out. So Brent Henrick, thank you for doing what you did for America. Like literally that decision could impact millions of people. And you will get fucking credit for me on this fucking show. And if you want to fucking yell at
Patriot.
me. Yeah. So like they can, and like there's
for all
people
intents and purposes, it really should have been the other way around because she entered that race literally at the 11th hour.
She did. People have the right to do that, right? Like, I'm not going to tell people they can't enter races.
Before an election, but you're going to, I decided to jump in.
Yeah.
I get it. But someone who has been running for a year and plus to decide to drop out because it is for the betterment of the country.
And he would have beat her too.
Oh, yeah.
All the polling said he was, and again, I'm not here to smash on her at all. Like I'm not saying anything negative about here. All I'm saying is facts. Polling said that Brent was going to get about 20% and she was probably going to get about 17 or something like that. Now that was just the one poll that I looked at. So, that's still not good enough to finish top 2. Yeah. So, that's a flaw of the top 2 system. I like the top 2 system for the most part, but that's one of the times where it works against you, right? So so good. I'm glad that she won. Now I don't know where Haas fucking went. But so I'll give him a minute because we'll get to the dig in here in just a second.
I don't need a damn minute. Now I'm back.
Oh, there he is. All right. So again, we have a lot of big stuff going on. I feel good about what people did. I feel like our work mattered. The work we do on Twitter, the work we did in other places. So I don't think we need any credit for anything, but I feel a little bit vindicated that this could have been a lot worse if us and people like us with bigger platforms than us didn't do the work that they did to spread these candidates' messages, because there are people who voted who would not have voted had we not done what we did.
Yeah.
Whether it was one person or 101.
Amen.
Right.
It mattered locally here for some of the local races and stuff that I talked about. So it's good.
And back at it in about 6, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. So we'll keep tracking everything and we'll keep talking politics. But it's back to bashing the Democratic Party here for the most part, because there's a lot to bash. Honestly, like they fucked up in a lot of places. And we don't bash them because we hate them. We bash them because they want them to be better. If I tell my kids, if my kids fuck up in school, oh, you know what, you're fine, just do whatever you're going to do, or do I say no, I want you to do this better, right? One of those people is a bad parent, the other one is not, and that's the way that I look at that. So